Season 2, Episode 9, Pierce the Heavens, Superman. This is the penultimate episode of Season 2. Man. I keep saying this every week, sound like a broken record. They are cooking over at My Adventures with Superman. I don't know what else to say, but man, this is a fantastic show. I'm loving it. Can't wait to see how they wrap it up next week. But the penultimate episode was a great examination of what Superman is, what he wants, his motivations in life, and also kind of a great homage to one of my favorite Superman stories of all time. For the man who has everything, basically he's trapped inside his own mind and forced to kind of live inside of his memories, and a what if alternative scenario where he never left Krypton, he stayed on the planet, he grew up there. How would he react? And it's almost like a wish fulfillment. He wishes his planet had not died. He wishes his parents hadn't died. This is that same thing, but for the modern audience, the new version of it. And I really liked it. Pierce the Heavens, not as good a title as For the Man Who Has Everything, but I really enjoyed Lois being there. So she was kind of in her own dream sequence or her dream state, and then Clark, and then examining their relationship. We've seen this in a number of episodes before this, but this is the culmination of it because they're getting back together from after breaking up on Earth. Now she went back to find him in space, and that line that she says is just quintessential Superman. And I've said that a number of times in this show so far. This season has provided a number of moments where we're like, this is what Superman is. I didn't name you Superman for what you can do. I named you because it's who you are. And that is one of the core pillars of Superman. That's just who he is because of how he was raised by the Kents. And so that's something that I just love. Anytime I see that in a new form, a new interpretation of that, Clark being the best guy possible. It's just something that I always love. Kind of like the way that when you see Reed Richards or Rick from Rick and Morty being the smartest man in anything, Tony Stark too. I love seeing that character trait of like the smartest person in the world. The Flash being the fastest person in the world. I love seeing that. Superman has a certain element of that as well. For me, the thing that I gravitate to is he's the best. He's the best man in the world. He's the one that we all strive to be like. And, you know, Captain America also has that a little bit too. The big blue Boy Scout. I like that essence and that element of Superman. A lot of people use that as a hindrance for his character and say, oh, he's either A, too powerful and I can't relate to him, or B, he's too goody two shoes. I can't relate to that. And I kind of have the opposite approach to it, as he's being too good for me. It's, yeah, that's something that I strive to attain to be. I want to be the best man. I want to be the best father to my son. I want to be the best husband to my wife and the best friend to my friends. So this is an episode, like I said, where you examine that and you get the reason why Lois is attracted to him, the reason why she falls in love with him. And I love that moment where he realizes that, the self-realization, and him getting this new suit, which I need that S on a shirt. I need this version of the Superman S somewhere because this is fantastic. I love seeing that. Another thing I love about this episode was Steve breaking Jimmy out of the back of the truck, talking about the Flame Bros, and him being like just a good guy, helping out Jimmy, getting him out, the Wolf Pack, all of that stuff, which is played for laughs and comedy, but underneath it, there's like a sweet sentimentality of Steve being a good guy, being just a good person. And it's just fun. It's like, it makes me feel like I'm a part of the crew, a part of their, the Flame Bros and the Wolf Pack. I feel like I'm part of that. And it just feels good. It feels like I've got a good set of friends and family that are taking care of me. So those things were great about this episode. And then Michael Emerson, come on, let's give him his flowers. He's been doing fantastic work for years now. But this Superman Brainiac, which I saw in the subtitles, they had an actual official name for him. Super Brainiac. That was kind of a cool naming of that convention of Super Brainiac, and his performance as Brainiac's mind in Superman's body. The two combinations of super intelligence, which Superman already is supposed to have super intelligence, which they don't play up enough in a lot of things, and I wish they would make him smarter than a lot. A lot of the portrayals of him is just like, oh, he's just a normal average guy, but he should have some type of super intelligence. But combining Brainiac in Clark's body, it was like, man, this is an unstoppable force. How are they going to defeat him? And like I said, the power of finding out self-realization, finding your place and who you are, that was all great. Just some great writing on this season in particular, getting the characters back to where, taking them at the beginning of the season, they had already had that arc from the first season. Now in season 2, it's like there's always a struggle of an arc that a character goes on. How do you put them back to the beginning so they can have another arc? I think about Tony Stark in Iron Man, and then transitioning over to Iron Man 2, it was like, well, he had that whole character arc of him being a jerk, and now he realized it. All right, now he's a good guy, right? Now he's like his ego and things don't play into it. He's not as big a jerk. In the second Iron Man, it's like, okay, we got to turn him back a little bit so that he can go on another arc. And it's always there in his character and his personality, but it's not the main arc of becoming better, than that. So I like this. Everything that they've done with these characters of Lois, Clark, and Jimmy, they've continued their journey. They're still evolving and having these adventures. Now we're throwing in new characters like Kara, seeing where she's going to play in. And I noticed the last episode of this season is called My Adventures with Supergirl. And that almost made me think, is Clark going to lose his powers? Is he going to go off into space or do something and Kara takes over? But I don't think that's going to happen. That's just going off of the name of the episode. So interesting. We'll see why it's called that in the next one. But man, there was just some great stuff in this episode in particular. The action was great. The pacing of it just moved nonstop. There was never like a dull moment for me. When Lois and Clark were in that trap, basically the mind trap, heavy Groundhog Day vibes, which is one of my favorite movies. And anytime you're in like a time loop and you're repeating yourself over and over again, that's always fun. Man, where are they gonna go in this next episode? The Brainiac Superman fight continues, and even Brainiac Earth, but Superman and Kara teaming up at the end here. Man, I just can't wait to see what happens next. A fantastic episode, one of the best of the season, and sets it up for a very nice finale for season 2. But what do you think about My Adventures with Superman? We're going to have actually a star-studded panel next week to talk about the finale. The Beer with Geeks are joining us. We've talked with them before here on this channel. We've also got Animation Fascination podcast joining us, and our very own Super Tim. So we're going to have a jam-packed crew next week. The Flame Bros are going to be in full effect. We're going to be talking about the finale of My Adventures with Superman Season 2. Stay tuned for that. Let us know if you want us to talk about anything here on This Comic Cooks.